Bowl is over, and the focus now turns to the Oregon Ducks and the Fiesta Bowl. Good evening, I'm Jessica Debus. We'll talk with Stephen Nelson shortly about the Beavers, but tonight we begin with KEZI 9 News anchor Brandi Smith and sports director Jake Sivan from the Phoenix area covering the Ducks in the desert. The Valley of the Sun today turning into the Valley of the Clouds. It's beginning to feel a little more like home here.
It is, and of course the 1 week that Oregon comes down to Arizona, it's sunny in Western Oregon and raining down here. The Ducks are used to it though, maybe advantage Oregon. What Oregon certainly doesn't have an advantage in is trying to stop Kansas State quarterback Collin Klein. And today at the press conferences, the focus was on Oregon's defense and Kansas State's offense. That's the matchup we're going to look at. Our own Eric Elkin has more on how the Ducks can try to stop one of the best players in the entire nation from Oregon's open practice.
It's our first time since last year's Rose Bowl that we actually get to see the Ducks practice. This being the second of 2 mandatory 15-minute open sessions for the media. Defensively for the Ducks, all eyes will be on quarterback Collin Klein, who can hurt you with his arm, but does the bulk of his damage on the ground with 22 rushing TDs this season.
It's just little things, you know, you can't like miss a sign or something because he'll just run on you. If I run up the field, he's just going to run right through that hole. So it definitely makes it, you know, tricky for a defense to kind of corral him.
We run really well at linebacker. You know, got Boseco, Kiko, and Dion. You know, those guys run like gazelles out there. So I think we'll be just fine coming to spread. I think it's a little bit more fun because we get to, you know, show off our wheels a little bit more.
It'll be strength versus strength as the Wildcat offense rarely turns the ball over. And Oregon's defense seems to do nothing but get takeaways.
You know, you both can't win that stat. So I think it's going to be a critical you know, point. I don't know if we've put any more emphasis, but I don't know if our coaches and Coach Snyder could put any more of an emphasis on it than we do already.
The K-State front is also very wary of the Oregon D-line, which is known for rotating a ton of guys.
It makes it pretty difficult, honestly. That means everybody's still fresh, everybody can play hard, and as an offensive lineman, I mean, you kind of want that just because it's the same 5 guys out there the entire time. So, yeah, it can wear and tear on us.
But they're always fresh. They're never tired. I play, you know, 95% of the snaps or whatever. But, you know, tired, and it's, you know, it's more of a mindset than anything. But when those guys are fresh, it definitely, you know, they're going to go 100% because they know they're coming out in 3 plays to get a breather.
Much like 2 years ago in the lead-up to the national championship game, many people thought it would be a high-scoring game. It wasn't. A lot of people are expecting the same of this year's Fiesta Bowl. When I asked a lot of the Duck defensive players if that gets to them, they all said, we don't care one bit. At Oregon football practice, Eric Elkin, let's go back to you.
Thanks so much, Eric. And the most intriguing part of practice that we were able to see is the role of Oregon backup quarterback Brian Bennett, who took reps both at quarterback and wide receiver during the practice, something that has been speculated about but not actually seen until we were able to get into an Oregon practice for the first time in about a year. And getting back to Kansas State's offense, Collin Klein has quite a weapon in wide receiver Chris Harper, a name that most Duck fans probably remember because Harper was originally a Duck.
I don't have any regrets. You know, when I make a decision, I think about it and I make it.
In 2008, Chris Harper was a true freshman quarterback at Oregon. Now in 2012, he's Kansas State's leading wide receiver.
The only reason was to come home. That was the only reason. You know, the people ask the questions about me playing quarterback. Obviously, I wanted to play quarterback, you know, and people would flip it and make that the main thing of the article. The only reason I came was to come home.
It may not have been the reason, but the Wichita, Kansas native did try to play quarterback when he first got to Kansas State. Just like at Oregon, it didn't work out.
Chris was just not a quarterback. I mean, he's just not a quarterback. Sometimes guys, they want to be something even though it's apparent they're not. You know, the maturity hit in. He said, you know what, I can't play quarterback. I'm not even close to being a quarterback. I'm a wide receiver.
Harper had 50 catches for 786 yards this season, and according to both Kansas State offensive coordinators, is an NFL-level wide receiver. That would be the next step in a journey that he started himself in Eugene.
I was the one that told him I wanted to move because I wasn't going to play. You know, I wasn't going to sit on the bench and watch when I knew I could be on the field. You know, I knew what type of athlete I was.
Harper had nothing but praise for Chip Kelly, who was offensive coordinator when Harper was a Duck. He said Kelly is a bit different than his current boss, Bill Snyder.
He got that aggressive, pedal to the metal all the time, attitude, and that's something I remember about him, the most, is how, his confidence, and, and his, just kind of his, I guess swag. You don't use that for a coach. I really don't like the swag word. I think it's kind of overused, but he has, this kind of little aura about him, that's what I liked about him the most.
Less than 2 seasons after leaving Eugene, Harper watched his former teammates play in the national championship game. He called it bittersweet, but it was some friends and family, not Harper, that were caught up in what could have been.
I heard a little bit about guys, second guessing it, but those are the same people asking for tickets now that didn't get tickets.
But like Harper said, no regrets. He's a guy who was clearly at peace with where his football journey has taken him. And even though Harper is a former Duck, Brandi, there aren't a lot of current Oregon players who were on that team with him in 2008. Only the guys that have redshirted and are now seniors. He said he's still friends with Deion Jordan, but is closest with Kenyon Barner. The two text back and forth all the time, and we're actually able to meet up at a mall earlier this week here in Arizona. I asked Harper when was the last time he saw Kenyon before that. He said not since he was in Eugene as a player in 2008, but added, I see him all the time on TV.
Yeah, he gets plenty of opportunities to see him there.
Yes.
Well, Duck fans, if you are headed down to see the Ducks live at University of Phoenix Stadium on Thursday, you are going to want to check out some of Arizona's wines.
Picture Arizona, the desert climate, rocky terrain, saguaro cacti. Vineyards probably don't come to mind.
In 2000, when I planted my first vineyard, one of the jokes on Saturday Night Live was one of the 10 best ways to lose money was to plant a vineyard in Arizona. I mean, I'm not kidding. That was one of the jokes.
In the 12 years since, Sam Pillsbury and other Arizona winemakers have worked to make a name for themselves in the industry.
Most of us here in Arizona, we've had to start from scratch. So we're literally, plowing virgin earth and putting in all the infrastructure. It's quite complicated and incredibly expensive.
The effort appears to be paying off.
We actually get a lot of support from just the state all over. Everyone's really interested in it because of the eat local, drink local scene.
That includes getting their wines into local restaurants like Beckett's Table in Scottsdale.
Fabulous place, brilliant owners, great staff.
Perception is just one of the challenges facing winemakers here. They also have to contend with the climate.
We don't grow where most people think of Arizona. We don't grow down, amongst cactuses and stuff. We're at higher altitudes.
That can mean chilly overnight temperatures, yes, but there's a definite upside.
I know this sounds like a hopeless pitch for the area, but everything does well here. It's ridiculous.
Skeptical? Remember, it wasn't all that long ago that people questioned Oregon's ability to produce good wines.
Our responsibility is to make wine that's as good as any wine in the world, and you know what? That's what we do.
You can find a list of all the 63 wineries in Arizona on KEZI.com. For Jake Zivin, I'm Brandi Smith. Back to you.